Welcome back to the channel. We're going over the SP 500, the Nasdaq 100, exactly how the stock market is moving and what you need to be paying attention to going into tomorrow. Now, I've had this drawn for the past week and a half, and this is the channel you're sitting in. You can't make this up. This is literally what is happening. This is just, it is what it is. Basically, since May 27th, you've come to this range 1, back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are you going to get the 8th touch at the bottom level? We'll have to wait and see. But this is what we were looking at. Now, going into today, what did I say? I expected a little bit of upside. I was trading to the upside on some of these stocks as well. But my broad overall look of the market is still downside. I still think downside is going to come. I do believe we haven't even started the recession. I want it to be abundantly clear, but I'm also going from a day trading perspective of telling you how I believe we're going to move going into the next day. So overall, this trend is going to be your best friend as of right now. And whatever way you end up breaking out of this is where I see us going. So if you get above 417 and hold, guess what? I think you're going towards 430, 428. If you get below 408, 407, guess what? I think you're going to start that push back down to those new lows that we've been talking about below 380. So this is overall what I'm looking at and how I see us moving, but it all starts with this trend right here. So before you blow up in the comments and you say this or that, please make sure you're watching the video and you're actually taking it in rather than just running with one thing that I might say. So let's get into it. So going into today, the biggest stock I was talking about was Tesla. Guess what happened? You came out of the gates today down here, 419. You ended up running towards 450. Boom. It actually went past target number 1 of 733. You know, you had some other plays overall that played out well, but Tesla was the big winner. But what happened with Nasdaq is this is where we saw a lot of that volatility, a lot of that momentum playing out here. Now, Nasdaq tried to go towards its range of around 12.8, but it got rejected slightly before that and then eventually started to tumble back down. Now, one thing that happened with SPY that was interesting is that SPY never even came out of this range. Nasdaq started to get out of its range. SPY did not. SPY stayed here the whole time, range trading very slowly, and then boom, you stepped off the cliff. Now, what was happening on Bookmap? If we come to Bookmap and looking at what happened with the liquidity levels, the link is down below if you want to check these guys out. Looking at Bookmap, I mean, it was pretty choppy overall. You basically saw a lot of negativity on the CVD coming into the beginning of the day, and then you saw slow trending to the upside, which we never really saw any big orders here on the liquidity books, which was a very big issue for me personally. Now, then you started to see things start to shift right here. Now, you started to see a bigger buyer come into the market, but then immediately followed off by a very big seller as well, really shifting the demand on the market, continuing to trade like sideways, kind of with some upside until about 10:15 a.m. And then eventually you would start to slide at around the beginning of lunch, which was 11:30 New York time. That's about 12:30, and that's when you started to slide. So there was a lot of confusion here on the market, but it's important to know as you get into the middle of the day, what happens once again, as we saw yesterday, there were no buyers. All the buyers were here early in the morning, which gave you your upside potential if you were trading the upside. So that's what we were looking at there. Going into tomorrow, what do I think is happening here? Now, a lot of people are asking, specifically in Discord, it's a great question. How do I see us trading? Because this has been total crap. If you've been trading this, it's been a very choppy range for day trading in general. And if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at CPI coming out on Friday. It's also important to know the White House secretary also said they expect higher consumer numbers. So they're expecting inflation to be hitting the consumers hard into that CPI data. It's also worth mentioning going into Wednesday, what's coming out then? You also have the rate hike decision, which we know and probably will be a 0.5 rate hike. So these are all things we're looking at. And as we come here, I have the anticipation of most likely getting a touch of this bottom trend right now, just so when you start going into Friday or you get any type of news overall, you're probably gonna start bouncing back up because we're just trading in this trend. There's no reason to start trading outside of this trend or get any type of expectations to get out of the trend because we're staying in here right now. We just have to wait and see how we're going to react. Every time we think we're going to get some of that movement to the outside, yeah, we got the good trade on Tesla, but ultimately you stayed in this range. You didn't get a breakout. So you're staying in the range. You're still getting some good trades. It's nothing great, but we have to respect where we're at right now. One area we continue to talk about is going to be US oil. This is WTI crude, and you can see this thing is going absolutely ballistic on the day, pushing 122 a barrel. Stocks like Exxon reaching all-time highs. CVX Chevron reaching all-time highs. These stocks are absolutely going crazy, which is very indicative of what is happening with inflation. There is still an oil crisis. There's major energy issues. And guess what? The government is going to continue to tell you they have it under control. We're going to lower prices. But the truth is they do not have it under control. And it's probably going to continue to get out of hand. And you're going to continue to see it with this data numbers as it continues to come out as well. So what am I looking at here overall? I'm going to be looking at these stocks going into tomorrow. For the first time ever, Tesla is probably not going to be on the watch list. If I'm looking at it, I'm playing it down for a move to around 718, 720. That's where I'd be anticipating. If it can get back above 730, I'm anticipating a move back to 750. But again, it's not my favorite trade. Honestly, looking at a lot of these plays, they're all setting up very similar. It's the same exact range we've been mentioning. NVIDIA down to 183.3, which again, you did hit as well. Then you came up to target number one again today as well as 191. But overall, it's just a lot of chop in this market and there's no clear direction in which way you're going to move. So as of right now, I'm sitting on the hands. I am not day trading. I repeat, I am not day trading this. I'm waiting for Friday. That's when I'll have the most confidence, and that's when I see us really getting our move. Now, it's important to go to the Nasdaq and look at how we really see this thing moving. I want to go to about the 1 hour chart to give a better viewpoint of this. You can see all the levels in which we've been trading, but the ultimate top of what you have to really look at is ultimately going to be about 12.88 up to 12.95. That is the range we're watching, and then again, we're watching for another downside touch going into 12.45. So this is the real range similar to that Nasdaq range we're watching. The push down here and then this level up here. This is where you're range trading as we speak. And 12.65 appears to be that median, which we keep pushing back to relative each way. So you can see what happened down here. You came down and touched. You came back to 12.65, got rejected. So you're going to see a lot of that action happening here as well. So as of right now, it looks like you were rejected right here. And Nasdaq is trying to push back to that downside as we speak. And it just leads me to believe, as you're getting this movement right now, that you would most likely see some downside going into CPI data because if we come out as anticipated, it's going to set up for better movement to the upside, especially if you are down in this range. But let's say the data goes just absolutely horrible. I would make sense to be down in this region as well, so you can just finally break through this zone as well come Friday morning if the data is terrible on CPI. So these are things that I'm looking at, but overall in the market today, it was just an absolute chop fest besides those opening trades on the market. And that's really how I'm going to be trading this. Now, if you're not following me, I recommend following me on Twitter so you can get these updates as well on the charts, things I'm looking at, and exactly how I'm trading some of these as well, absolutely free. Now, if you're also interested, I recommend checking out Discord so you can see every single trade as I'm taking it as well. You can be following the 5K account, also seeing us day trade live, going over ES, futures, and everything like that as well. Have a good one, traders.